guys, so today I am going to do a video of a full face of first impressions for this look that I have right here. These are mostly the makeup products that I had in my drugstore makeup haul a couple days ago. I think it will have been like 3-4 days ago that went up before this video goes up. And this is mostly products from that haul, so it is a completely drugstore look, which is great for you people who want some affordable makeup. I know I do. So if you want to see how to get this makeup look, and if you want to hear my first impressions of those products, then just keep watching. Okay, so before we start, may I just point out my little friends, these dark circles that have been following me around for days. Don't go to college, kids, because you'll end up looking like a raccoon. So I'm going to start this off with the Maybelline Baby Skin Pore Minimizing Primer. I just dropped the lid on the ground, but you know what? Whatever. I've heard that this performs a lot like the Benefit Professional, so I'm super excited to test that theory out. So I'm just taking a little bit of that and I'm putting it mainly in the places that I have pores, so my T-zone basically, and then kind of taking the excess and spreading that throughout my face. First impressions, it feels very smooth. It does feel very similar to the Benefit Professional. So if you're looking for a drugstore version of that, I think that this one is actually a pretty great dupe for that. It is filling in my pores as well, probably not as well as the Benefit Professional, but it's doing a pretty good job. So I think I really like that one. So for foundation today, I'm not really using a foundation. I'm using the Maybelline Dream BB Fresh BB Cream, which is great because I've been wanting a more natural look for my skin. And then in light of drugstore products, I'm also going to be using my Real Techniques Beauty Sponge. This isn't new, but it is drugstore, so it goes better with the drugstore makeup look theme. So this isn't giving me very much coverage, which is okay because I wasn't expecting it to. It is a BB cream. It's just basically supposed to even out your skin tone, and I think it is doing that. And now that I'm blending it on my face, it doesn't look super dark. It looks a little dark when I dot it, but once I blend it out, it doesn't look too crazy. So I'm then taking a little bit of that and I'm blending it down my jawline and kind of onto my neck just to make sure that everything matches and we don't have that classic middle school foundation line. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So first impressions of this BB cream, it is very light coverage. It doesn't cover things very well, but I don't think it's supposed to. It's supposed to just kind of even out your skin tone, and it definitely did do that. And it looks very natural. It doesn't have like a cakey look to it at all. It just looks like skin. And it has on the back a bunch of different like claims, like blurs, enhances, brightens, adjusts, smooths, hydrates. It also has SPF 30, which is great, especially since we are going into spring and summer. So that I'm impressed with it. I think it's great if you want just really light coverage. I would go pick it up. I think it's great. So next I'm going to be using my Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade 10 Light, and I have used this before. I have owned it before, but I did have it in that haul, so I figured I would include it in this video. And I am putting this in a lot of places. I look like, you know, from Mulan, the lady that like has the black and never mind. I'm putting this in a lot of places simply because the BB cream didn't give me a lot of coverage, and I am also dotting that on my imperfections, better known as zits. And then I'm taking that same beauty sponge and blending it all in. This is a really great concealer from the drugstore. I think it is one of the best drugstore concealers. I am also a big fan of the Maybelline Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser, another great drugstore concealer. I think Maybelline does the best in the drugstore with concealers. They have really great ones. Those two are really good. I know the Better Skin from Maybelline is also really good. I don't really know of any other brands that I enjoy their concealers. from the drugstore at least. So Maybelline, if you're going for a new concealer from the drugstore, I would search the Maybelline racks because I think that they do the best with concealers. I'm going to do my eyebrows with my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. I'm going to go ahead and do those off camera, and I will be right back. Alright, brows are filled in. I have used this product before. I've had it before, and I think it's a great brow pencil from the drugstore. I've never tried like the Anastasia, Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, or any of that kind of stuff, but I do think that this one is great, and I recommend it if you're looking for a brow pencil. Alright, so now we are going to go into the eyes, and I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild Au Naturel palette in the shade Nude Awakening. For the base shade, I'm just going to take this lightest shade right here to set the concealer that I put on my lids. And doing this just creates a great base for all of your other eyeshadows to blend. Because if you just leave the concealer, it's wet, and so the powders don't blend very well on top of it. So I wanted to use this palette for most of the eye look, but looking at it, I don't see any transition shades that I would really want to use for this look. So instead of using that for my transition shade, I'm going to use my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. And I'm just going to take that on a fluffy crease brush, and I'm just going to blend that into my crease for my crease for my transition shade. And for this, I just use windshield wiper motions mostly, and then kind of circles near the edge to apply a little bit more product. And the transition shade, the basic purpose of the transition shade is just to make sure that all of your other shades blend together on your eye really well. And so I always try to use a color that's kind of like this, like a light brown with a little bit of a warmer undertone, especially for a warm peachy look like we're doing today. Alright, so I am finished with that, and now I'm going to be taking on a flat brush, I'm going to take this pink shade right here, and I'm just going to put that on the inner third of my lid. So first impression of this, it is quite powdery, and it's not super pigmented. It's not bad by any means, but it's not super pigmented. I have noticed I'm not using any of the matte shades in here on this look today, but when I swatched them, the matte shades seem to be a lot more pigmented than the shimmer shades. So if you like the matte shades in this palette and that's solely what you're going for, then this is a great palette because the matte shades are quite pigmented. But I am having to go into this shimmer shade quite a bit to get the pigmentation that I want. For the rest of the lid, I'm going to go into this Maybelline Single Shadow in the Glow Down, which is a cute little title. And it comes with this in it. I hate these. I don't want it. And I'm just going to use another flat brush, and I'm just going to go into that. A lot of it. I'm just going to pack it onto my lid. Ooh, little bit of fallout, I'm noticing. But this shade is very pigmented. It is showing up really beautifully on my lid. And it's a beautiful color. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, dang girl slay. So my first impression of this is that it's really pretty. I'm going to try it with, I'm going to try it wet. So I'm just going to take a little bit of it on the brush, and then I'm just going to spray it with this rose water spray and see how it performs wet. Alright. So it does show up, you can see, a lot more pigmented when it is wet, which is what it's supposed to do. So that is great. I'm really liking this shadow. So I'm just going back in with that same blending brush that I used for the transition shade, and I'm just mixing all those colors together. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this Au Naturel palette. I said before that I wasn't using any of the matte shadows in here, but I actually am going to. I'm going to take this really dark chocolatey brown. It is very pigmented, so I'm just gonna... And then I'm just gonna use that in the outer V. And this is just gonna deepen up the look a little bit. I'm not taking a lot of this because I don't want a super deep eye look. I just want it to have a little bit more dimension. Once again, just blending it all together with that same fluffy brush. And then I'm just going to take this Essence Pure Nude highlighter in the shade Be My Highlight, and I'm going to use this as my face highlighter later, but for now I'm just going to take a little bit of that on my finger and put it directly in the middle of my lid to make my eyes appear wider. So that is it for eyeshadow. I'm now going to be going in with my Wet n Wild Mega Liner in the shade Black Noir. I'm noticing that it is a felt tip, which I was hoping for a brush tip, but it looks very thin, so it's still promising. I'm going to do a small wing. Okay, so wings are on, and first impressions of this eyeliner, I love it. The tip was super nice, super easy to apply the wing. If you are just starting out in eyeliner, I think this would be a great one to try because it is really cheap and it's also really easy to apply a wing. So if you are not super familiar with winged eyeliner, I think this would be a great one to start out with. And it's also really black, it doesn't skip, and there's no patchiness. I am really liking this. So the next thing I'm going to do is curl my eyelashes. I don't know the brand of this eyelash curler. I know it's from Walmart, so it is drugstore. It's just the Walmart one that is turquoise and white. Alright, so the mascara that I'm going to be using today is the Maybelline the Falsies Volume Express, and I used to love this mascara, and so this isn't necessarily a first impression, but I haven't used it in like 2 years, and so we're gonna see if I still love it. Okay, so first impression slash second impression of this mascara. I do love it. I do specifically remember though with this mascara that I preferred it after I left it with the cap slightly open for a day or two because it dries it out just a little bit and then it's not as like wet and goopy, because I noticed when I used it, it is a little bit like it makes your lashes like stick together. So if you have this mascara or if you want to get this mascara, it is a great one, but I would suggest just leaving the cap undone for a day or two to let it dry out a little bit, because then it is way better. Alright, so now we're going to be finishing up the face. That is it for the eyes. So I'm going to be taking my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This isn't new. I didn't get anything new as far as bronzers or contour products go, so I'm just going to use my trusty Physicians Formula one. Okay, so I did get a new blush at the drugstore during my haul that I was going to use, but it just really doesn't go with this look. It's the e.l.f. HD blush in Superstar, and it's a great blush, but I'm not going to use it in this look because it just doesn't really match it. I'm actually going to use my Wet n Wild blush in the shade Apricot in the middle. And I'm going to be using a new brush that I actually just got. It wasn't in that haul, but it is new, and it's the e.l.f. Small Stipple brush. So my first impression of this brush, it's nice. It's a little bit small, and it's a little bit dense for blush. I think I might actually use this for BB cream rather than blush. Alright, now for my favorite part of every look, which is highlighter. I'm going to go in with my Essence Pure Nude highlighter in the shade Be My Highlight, and I'm going to highlight everywhere. So, first impressions of this as I'm applying it. It is what I expected. It's very natural looking. Like, it does give you a bit of a glow, but it's not anything dramatic, which is what I was expecting and what I was wanting from it, because I was wanting a little more of a natural highlighter. I'm not a natural highlighter girl. I'm more of like a blind you highlighter girl. But if you're not, this is a really great one. It has great texture, a great formula, it feels like, and it's very pretty color. It's just not super pigmented. So if you're not into that like strobing highlight look, then this is a great one to go for. Right, so now for the part of this makeup look that I was the most excited for. This is the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit in the shade Coral Corruption. And I've heard so much about these liquid lipsticks, and I love coral shades. So I have high hopes for this. Ooh, pigmented. Okay, so this is showing up a little bit red on camera, but in person it is very coral. It is definitely true to its name. It is a beautiful coral color. It's a little bit darker than I expected, but I like it a lot. So, first impressions of this. Amazing. It is so pigmented. I didn't need any more than one layer. One layer did the trick easily. It applied really well. There was no patchiness, and I can tell within like 30 seconds after applying it, it is already almost completely matte. Like, there's almost no transferring. Like, if you just touch your lips, there's nothing that comes off. So that is great. I'm not super into the matte lips, but if you are, this would be fantastic. For me personally, if I wear this, I'll probably throw a gloss on top. I'm probably gonna go out and buy more of these because this is great. So the last product, it's not technically drugstore. I bought it at Ulta, and it is drugstore price. It was only $5, and the full size is only $7, so it's definitely drugstore price, and it's definitely worth it. So this is the Mario Badescu Rosewater Facial Spray, and this stuff is fantastic. I've had it before. I haven't used it in a long time, but it is really great. It smells like roses. Like legit roses, not like fake rose smell, like real rose smell. It smells wonderful. So that is really it for this video, you guys, this full face of first impressions, and I was very impressed with most of these products. I think the only things that really didn't work for me were, I didn't necessarily love the highlight specifically for me. I think it's a great highlighter for anyone who is not as dramatic and crazy as me, but I don't think it's something that I will use very often, but it's still a great highlighter for if you want a more natural look. The other thing that I'm not so sure about was the Wet n Wild eyeshadow palette. I will have to test it out some more because, you know, you can't judge something based on your first impression of it, but it did seem a little bit chalky, especially the shimmer shades, so I will test that out more and I will update you guys on my opinion of that. Probably my favorite things from this first impressions would definitely be the eyeliner, which I thought this Wet n Wild eyeliner was fantastic, and also the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit lipstick is amazing so far. So those are my favorites of this first impressions look. And that is really it for this video, you guys. I hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe if you did. I would really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!